Every night, my mom drinks vodka mixed with grapefruit juice. I know this because I have to make the drinks. I'm in 7th grade. Hi, I'm Holly, and welcome to my channel where I share your anonymous diary entries, secrets, and deepest struggles. Quick announcement before we start, I am going to begin answering one question at the end of each YouTube video, so leave your questions in the comments. I mean, you guys seem to have a lot of them. And stay tuned for the end of this video because I am answering one from Instagram. Today, we are talking about family secrets that have never been shared before. Of course, they are anonymous, but still. It is weird for people to talk about this stuff. I mean, it's weird for me, and they're not even my stories. I think that's because there's a lot of shame, guilt, and regret around family issues. When people think of families, they think of something that is supposed to be structured and loving and perfect, and when it's not, people are kind of embarrassed. And I think that's why it's so uncomfortable to talk about. The truth is, everyone's families are a little messed up. I think it's just typical for us to hide things away when something goes wrong within our family. But I'm hoping this video will help you feel less alone and kind of be like, oh hey, other families go through horrible, insane stuff too. Because let's be real, everyone does. I know that didn't sound that comforting, but it is true. It does help just to simply know that you aren't alone and that it's not just you and you're not the weird one. You're not the weird, messed up family out of all the perfect ones. I'm going to stop talking and just start the first entry, which is about a girl who convinced herself that she single-handedly destroyed her own family. Dear Diary, I've rewrote this millions of times, but I think I finally figured it out. I wanted to express what actually makes me want to drink till I can't remember, but I don't think I've actually thought about it. After a little reopening old wounds, I think the root to all of the unfolding events of my life led back to me being too weak. It's like my mind is sick. I can't feel happiness like I did before. I can't think how I did before. I can't live how I did before, and I can't experience the same things I did before. Now that all of my reasoning is out of the way, here's my story. I kind of always had depression from like 7 years old, but it has never been this severe. My parents started a divorce 3 years ago when I was 14, but it still rages on. I am the one who caused it. My mom took me on a hunting trip with her co-workers, but I just felt sick to my stomach when it was only one nasty-looking man. I was stuck in a 4-hour car ride with his daughter, my mom, and him. He turned on his phone while I was pretending to watch Netflix, and I saw his wallpaper. It was my mother. After hours and hours of dropping hints that I wanted to leave and that my mom was married, we finally got home. Even when I was in the car, I would bring up my dad, and my mother would say something like, "Well, I won't be with him in a few months." At the time, I found out my mom was going to divorce my dad. I was 14, but I had enough sense to put 2 and 2 together and realized that they were dating for a while. I told Dad when I got home and there was a big blow up. The next day, my dad went to work. My mom called me to the car and said, "Why would you do this? You ruined the family." I think this is when my depression escalated, and ever since then, I felt all my family's problems were mine. All the financial issues with this divorce, all the stress, the sadness, the home wrecking, and even the court is my fault. And every day I tell myself if I were not here, everyone would be good. So I try to make up for that by working and spending and giving all I have for everyone. I just lost my job, and I think everyone is gonna hate me again. Sincerely, R. Being that close to a situation and not being able to see the whole picture can definitely cause you to bottle everything up and feel a lot of guilt. I'm sure keeping everything in and dealing with this by yourself has been incredibly hard, and I'm so sorry that you even had to go through it, but I need you to know that this is not your fault whatsoever. Divorce is never a child's fault, ever, ever. You could purposely try to break up your parents, and it still wouldn't be your fault. Why? Because you're the kid and they're the adults. I'm sure you think back to that moment and wonder what the right thing to do was, whether you did the right thing, the wrong thing, whatever. But there is no right or wrong thing. There was no right decision here. There's nothing you could have done because you should have never been in the middle of it anyways. What wasn't right was your mom putting the blame on you for that. Because you should have never been in that situation where you had to make that decision as a child. I hope you grow up and look back and see that you were very, very much a child who couldn't possibly understand everything that was going on. And yes, 14 is a child. And I hope you realize that this was something your parents should have dealt with as adults, and you should have never been in that situation. So stop putting so much blame on yourself. Stop putting so much pressure on yourself. This is your life too, and you're allowed to cut yourself some slack in every way possible. You deserve it. The next entry is about a girl whose mom is struggling with alcoholism, and I'm just going to read it. Dear Diary, it took everything I had to send this. I am very nervous to talk about this because people tend to look past this subject like it's not important. The reason people look past the subject is because when your parents are alcoholics, no one seems to care unless they're beating you. I feel trapped inside an infinite circle of fear. I love my mom, but at night she's a different person. Every night my mom drinks vodka mixed with grapefruit juice. I know this because I have to make the drinks. I'm in 7th grade. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but alcoholism is hard to deal with when you have no one to talk to about it. Every night, my mom gets all loopy and mad, and I don't like to see her like that. Then in the morning, she doesn't wake up until really late, making it hard to do things normally, because she doesn't function like a normal parent. I feel like no one cares and always thinks alcoholism isn't a big deal, but to me, it is. It's my entire life. She is always falling, and I feel almost like a caretaker for her. I love her so much though, and she loves me too. It's just really hard sometimes. Our house gets really messy and we can never have people over. When my friends ask to come over, they don't understand that I lie in bed and have a panic attack because I'm ashamed of the alcoholism in the dirty house. I can't even do anything about it. It's not my fault, but I feel so ashamed and guilty. I feel like this stress in my life is causing me to have severe anxiety. When I try to tell my cousin that, she's like, haha, same, OMG. And I just want to say, no, it's not like that. But I never talk about my mom, and I never will. This is the one time I will ever speak about the topic. The anxiety feels like a never-ending feeling, like someone knows about my life and that someone knows about my messy house. It feels like people are constantly looking at me and thinking, oh my gosh, she's that girl with the alcoholic mom. And I feel bad and get overwhelmed, and then I can't breathe. I feel like everyone is staring at me, like they know my secrets, and I don't know how to feel. I just try to make jokes and be the funny one everyone can talk to, but in reality, it hurts. When I say my house is messy, I mean the dishes haven't been done in months, and there's food on the walls and permanent stains everywhere, and I'm so embarrassed, but I have to learn to know that it's not my fault. So the next time I open up to someone and they just try to relate while they laugh, I might even take a stand, which is a huge improvement because I've never talked about this in my whole life and I'm finally opening up. And I'm proud of that. It might seem small, but to me, it's a huge step to feeling better. Sincerely, A. I want to hug you so bad right now. I also just want to tell you how proud I am of you for even sending this out because I know it was hard to talk about. I am going to encourage you to talk to a trusted adult about this, maybe a family member or someone at school even. I know your mom isn't directly or physically harming you, but that doesn't mean what's happening is okay. And I think you know that. I don't know your life story, so my advice is going to stop there, especially since I am no professional. But it does seem like you are bottling this up, and it seems like when you talk about it with friends, they just kind of laugh it off, which is why I recommend an adult that you trust. It could definitely take some weight off of you because you're only in 7th grade, and this isn't something you should have to constantly worry about. And one last thing, your mom does need help with the things that she's dealing with. However, please know that it's not your responsibility to get her help. The only responsibility you have is to be a kid. I'm encouraging you to talk to someone so that weight and responsibility can come off your shoulders, but it's not so that you yourself can solve the problem, because you shouldn't have to. Again, thank you so much for sending this in. I know it was hard, and I know that it's probably already helping so many people feel less alone. The next entry is pretty juicy. I hate using that word. This submitter's brother was accused of a very bad thing that I will call the R word. Dear Diary, this is my deepest and darkest secret. A few years ago, my brother was accused of R word, a girl. This girl is just 1 year older than me. She goes to my school and I know her. She even invited me to the movies with her family once. I sided with my brother because I've never seen him hurt anyone in his life or be rude to anyone. And I silenced the victim's voice. Shame and guilt eat me up every single night because I'll never know if her story was true, if I silenced a woman's voice. I am filled with disgust for myself and my actions, even if I was only 13 at the time, even if I believed that my brother was innocent. I am utterly disgusted with who I decided to side with. To her, wherever you are, I wish I could have done it differently, no matter what relationship I would have destroyed. I wish I would have heard your story and amplified your voice, not silence it. I'm sorry. Sincerely, B. Thank you, B, for that very real and honest submission. There's not too much I can say about this because I don't know the situation, nor do I know these people. But I will say it's probably best to always immediately look into both sides of the story before blindly siding with one or the other. But again, I just don't know the situation. To be honest, if anyone in my family was accused of anything, I would probably side with my family thinking, oh, well, they're obviously innocent because I know my family and I have a good relationship with them. And I think anyone who has a good relationship with their family would probably do the same. I'd probably give it more thought later on, but my first instinct would to think that they are innocent. And I'm bringing this up because you shouldn't carry around so much shame and guilt for this, because it is somewhat natural since you know your family more than you know anyone else, if that's the case. However, it is extremely noble for you to apologize to this girl for not even giving her side a chance. I think a lot of victims would appreciate hearing this very heartfelt apology, even if they weren't in the situation. Your apology here is what matters, so again, thank you. Regardless of anything, I think it's so important to immediately hear both sides of the story when it comes to something so serious before jumping to a conclusion. I mean, we've all seen Justin Bieber get falsely accused recently, but my email is also filled with victims who were never taken seriously. B, I think your whole story is an extremely valuable lesson, especially when it involves someone as close as your own brother. The fact that you are aware of what went on and why you sided with him, which was kind of like blind support, I'm just proud of you for doing that. It takes a lot to do that. So the question for this video is, what is your goal for this project and how does it affect your mental health? Great question, because I struggled with this a lot. When it comes to goals, I at first wanted to move at lightning speed with this project, and I kind of was, at least I was trying to, and that took such a toll on me because I currently work a full-time job. I'm planning a wedding, and I'm also like house shopping and trying to move out. So it's just a lot right now. I did find balance, so I'm good now, but it was really hard in the beginning. And I think it kind of got to me because this whole thing happened so fast. Like me blowing up on TikTok, it happened really fast. And I felt like if I wasn't posting every single day or keeping up with everything, that I would, for some reason, lose it. And that was kind of like a hard adjustment. I had to like switch my brain off and think like, okay, you can relax while you do this. Like you're passionate about this. People aren't going to leave if you don't post for a day. So I made that mental switch. And then I also just found a lot of balance between my life, my work, and this project. So when it comes to like specific goals, I think most of you know that I am trying to start a podcast, It is just very, very, very slow moving, and unfortunately, I don't think there's any way around that. But I am recording the first season right now, so progress is being made, it's just slow progress. However, I'm very, very excited about it, and I think it's my favorite platform so far for this project. I can just get way more personal, and I can ramble on for a bit more about some serious, deep stuff. I can also talk about my own life, my own experiences while reading your entries. Overall, I think it's just going to be a really fun kind of corner of the world where we can all just kind of girl talk, and I can read your entries and what you guys are going through, and I can just candidly talk about them. Other than that, I have tons of dreams for this project. Like, merch is one, not for the money, but because the whole concept of this project is help people feel less alone. And I feel like merch is one of the channels that could physically do that, which I think is awesome. So say you're at the mall and you're minding your own business and you pass someone wearing a Dear Diary shirt. There's like the instant connection of like, oh, that person is like loving and supportive and understands. It's a reminder that everyone is going through something. And I don't know, I just like that. I feel like it can really connect people. So merch is like a far off dream, but that's my like goal, I guess. As far as this affecting my mental health, just based on like the content and reading the entries, it used to weigh on me a lot, and that's because I spent lots of time reading lots of entries, and especially being socially isolated at this time, it just wasn't good. So I kind of put a stop to that, and obviously I still read a lot of entries, but just not as many. And I started creating some distance between me and the submitter because I have to. Otherwise, I will literally crumble into pieces. I mean, there was this one girl that sent me an entry, and I felt so bad for her that I sent her a present. I bought her a present and I sent it to her, and she lived in a different country, so I still shipped it to her, but I ended up like spending a lot of money, and I don't regret it whatsoever at all. But that just shows you how really invested I was with each submission. So reading like 100 at a time, it just wasn't good for me. So I had to space them out and then create some sort of distance from them. Like, okay, Holly, this is just a project where you're sharing the stories. You don't have to feel like you have to solve all their problems or be that person that could always be there for them, because in reality, I can't. I'm only one person. So I kind of took some of the weight off of my shoulders, and everything is much better now. I feel like I can tackle it, but it definitely was hard at first, 100%. So if you have any more questions, be sure to leave them in the comments, and I'll probably answer the one that is like most upvoted, most liked. I don't know, maybe not though. It just depends. The question can literally be anything. It can be about this project, my personal life, anything you guys want to know. And if you would like to submit an entry, details are in the description. I think that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. Have a great day. Bye.